Hello and welcome to Rock Your Block and today's segment of Homes Radio. I'm your host, Ernestine Wilson, managing broker of Ernestine Wilson Real Estate. We're so excited about our guest today. Here are a few of her professional stops along the way to her current venture. She has published 2 books, worked as a visual information specialist for the federal government, and worked in mortgage finance for a non-profit. But corporate America did not appeal to my guest, so she changed directions and opened her own company. Please welcome my special guest, Susan Jackson, CEO of Poetry in Bloom, Apothecary. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. I can't wait for everyone to see what you're doing now.
Thank you.
So you spent many years in corporate America, selling, in your words, personalities and products.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now that you've started a completely new career, tell us how you transformed from corporate America to being the CEO of your own company.
Well, it started actually kind of organically. I quit that last corporate job that I had because what I realized is when I was doing a lot of the works that I was doing, mortgage loan officer, financial consultant, while I did love to work with people, I still wasn't fulfilled. So in 2013, I quit my job. I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna take a leap of faith and figure out what it is that I want to do going forward. So in essence, this is like my second act. So 7 years ago, my husband and I brought my mom in, who was 90 years old at the time. And I noticed some things. I went on a tear to clean the house, you know, from every nook and cranny, disinfect, clean, deodorize. And I realized, you know, with all of that, it was just so many toxins that were involved, and I just did not want to continue going forward in that direction, especially since I had her to care for.
Oh, how sweet.
Yes.
And smart.
Thank you.
Okay, so how did you come up with the concept of, it's called Purveyors of Naturally Good Things?
Good question. So while I was taking care of my mom, she had a lot of health issues that some were not being addressed with traditional medicines. So I found myself, because I grow lots of herbs and aromatics like on my property. So I was harvesting those just to, if she needed, she couldn't sleep, and I would make her a sleep elixir, you know, the chamomile, and put a little bit in her tea. And I was just making different types of health elixirs like fire honey, sea moss gel. But the funny part about this is I had a niece who came over just for a visit, and she was sharing with me that she was suffering from hair loss. And it just so happened that I also had that situation happening at the same time. And I told her that I made a scalp oil that will stimulate her hair follicles. And I said it had been working for me, so you're free to try it. So long story short, she left out with sea moss gel, fire honey, eczema cream, the oil for her scalp. So she called me when she was on her way home, and she said, so Auntie, I mean, really, what can I tell people? Where do you have a website? And at that time, I hadn't thought that far. And she said, so what is it that you do? It seems like a lot of stuff. And that's when I said, a lot of good things, apparently. And so that's how I came up with, because the original tagline was just Poetry in Bloom Apothecary. And then I said, we are purveyors of naturally good things.
Well, such a good phrase.
Yeah,
and so appropriate.
Thank you.
But then you're a writer, and so you can phrase things so that we understand. A lot of the times we can't pronounce them, but we get there.
You get it.
Yeah.
Context clues.
So most of us, like your niece, have used chemicals
Yes.
products with all kinds of toxins and things in them. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about my good friend Carolyn, who told me one day, she said, my mother used Tide forever, and I'm going to use Tide forever. That's all I know.
Yeah.
So what do you say to the Carolyns of the world who are just not aware of the eco-friendly products that you use?
It's definitely a shift in mindset, because oftentimes we think that our products have to smell really horrible in order for them to work. You know, I need bleach. If I don't smell that, then I don't think that I'm getting my house or the surface area that I'm treating clean. When actually we have everything that we need in nature to do clean, disinfect, and deodorize. Those are the three things that we're looking for in these same products, but they're not harmful if you use what Mother Nature has given us. And so I spent a great part of the time during COVID, when we were doing quarantine, to just figuring out, oh, I have this lavender, let me figure out what to make with this lavender. I can do this. And I realized I can replace all those things. It's just cheaper to manufacture, and it's a lazy way that these major corporations are doing, and putting these harmful products out. Long term, short term, you think, oh, well, what's the harm? But long term, we're ingesting these things over millennials. You know, we're passing them down, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And people get used to that. So it's a definitely shift in mindset, because one never knows, well, how did I get this asthma? How did I get this eczema? It's because we're ingesting largely all of these things that we think are harmless, when in lots of third world countries and even other foreign countries, those same chemicals and toxins are banned that we're using freely here in the U.S. But that's a topic for another discussion.
Okay.
But yeah, long story, but yeah, that's it.
Well, we want to know about your great products, and I'm so glad that you brought some of them here. So
yes,
tell me about Meet Me in the Citrus Grove, and this is the multi-purpose kitchen cleaner.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, I started being known for the person who had all the good stuff to clean your house and freshen up things, and also for health elixirs. And so I was passing these out as Christmas gifts to my friends and family. And it was the feedback that I was getting from them. Everybody's using this from A to Z. Oh, I clean my glass table with this, and I clean the kitchen with this. You know, my cell phones, I clean all of our electronic devices with this. So it's not just for the kitchen, but when you want to freshen up an area and you got the zesty smell of the citrus, you know, we use the limes, the lemons, and the oranges to make
They're mixed.
Meet Me in the Citrus Grove. So you'll smell that, and you know, because in the kitchen especially, you have all of the odors from the foods that you're cooking and cutting up, and you wonder what this is. There's a lingering odor in the air. Mm-hmm. It's because the surface areas are still holding on to all of those smells. But once you spritz this will allow you to experience like an organic, like an outdoorsy type of clean in your home that's fresh, that doesn't have that residual, you know, chemical smell. So yeah.
That's great. Mm-hmm. And you brought these for me, so
yes,
I can't wait to try them.
And this is the dish soap.
Well, let me ask you a question about this first, though. Mm-hmm. So I try to eat a little bit more healthy now and not fry foods, but I do use an air fryer. Mm-hmm. So I do chicken wings a lot.
Sure.
And the oil from the chicken wings or grease
gets
deposits everywhere on the bottom of the air fryer. Will this clean that easily?
Absolutely, because the thing that, the properties that we use, the natural herbs, we not only use citrus, but we use, it's depending on what season it is, I might throw in, I make a concentrate, if you will, that sits for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on if I'm using the fresh or the dried herbs. But we also use like the aromatics, like the rosemary, thyme, that also goes in that concentrate. All of those things are good at cleaning. They're natural cleansers.
Wow.
That's found in the earth.
I
It really
never knew
is.
that.
So my friends, they call and they say, oh, I cleaned the grout out of my pond with that. I'm going, really? Okay, I have to try it. And I have a video up, as a matter of fact, with the dish soap on my Instagram page, because I did clean my pond with it. And I said, yeah, this does really do what it says it's doing, and then more. So it's a lot more uses, and my friends and family, they're telling me these things every day. Oh, I use it for this. I don't use it for the dishes, I use it for this. I'm going, oh, okay, well, as long as you're happy. And you can feel, and it's safe to use, it's hypoallergenic, all of the ingredients that we use in the formula.
Okay, that's great. Now, tell us about, meet me in, I love these names.
The citrus
Meet me in
grove.
in the citrus grove. And this is the liquid dish soap.
Yes, that's what I was talking about before. We're always looking for the sudsy. We want the clean. We've managed
Sudsy?
Sudsy. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is real dish soap using all natural ingredients, so it can be done. You find, what I find is there are a lot of these big companies, they do an offshoot of a little more natural brand, but it's still not fully natural. So they understand that people are moving, the mindset is shifting, because we have to be more conscious, not just of the things that we eat, but also the things that we're exposing ourselves to. So in the dish soap, we didn't have to use any harsh chemicals at all. In fact, I would just start over if the the formula didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted this time. So this might be formula number 22, let's say.
Okay.
Until we got it, the consistency and, the quality that I'm used to as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it does the job. It cuts grease. It suds up really well. I recommend, using it on a microfiber sponge or cloth, because it'll go, a longer way that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I rave reviews for it, especially the dish soap.
And there's one other product that you are marketing right now.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
That's a soft scrub, because what I was finding is like the greasier areas that you want to put a little bit more elbow grease on, like the bottom of a pan, you scorch the rice or something like that. So it works in the way that, it's an abrasive, but it's a softer one that won't damage your pots, pans, or dishes. So if you have like ring around the tub, it's good for that. So that's why I say all of our products are multi-use. I just take it upstairs and clean the bathtubs with it. But yeah, and that's a good thing, because all of these products with the ingredients that we use, they can be used elsewhere, and we're discovering what those are.
So your house smells like lemon and lime and lavender.
Depending, because we're coming out with a product called Fall in Thyme. So this one is all about the thyme, the herb. And I'm really like falling more in love with that, as the season, as a matter of fact, too. So I harvested, I dried it, we went on vacation, we came back, and I just couldn't wait to get in there and create the same line of products with the thyme. So now I'm going back and forth. The kitchen, I'll use the citrus grove, and then the rest of the house I'll use. So it depends on which area in the house that you'll smell.
But if I fall in love with this, I'll still be able to get it in January or February.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Because, it's the thing about, I love citrus, the smell of citrus. And I don't think that it should be relegated to a timeline. Mm-hmm. If you like citrusy, the way that citrus smells, and you like that, the zestiness of that, when you cut open a lemon, or an orange or a lime, then you'll want to still use it throughout the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this friend of mine sent me some lemons from California. She has lemon trees in her yard.
Oh, wow.
And when I opened the package, the aroma was wonderful. And so I can't wait to use this.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're able to get this here. I thought about it at last minute, but I said, I think I should bring some for Ernestine.
And that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something that's on my list to ask you, and that was about people who have allergies. A lot of people that I know in this area have allergies. I sneeze every season. So tell us about how this is helpful for people with allergies.
Well, this is helpful, which is the complete opposite of our counterpart products that are on the market that are full of the chemicals. Those are the ones that actually, irritate our lungs. We develop things like, well, I have allergies and I have asthma or bronchitis. With the ingredients that are formulated in our products, they're all hyperallergenic, and I was very careful about that. Some of the essential oils are sourced from ethically sourced. So I make sure that any vendors that I use on that end, they understand where the direction and the type of products that I'm making and what our brand stands for, so that we stay on brand.
So what do you mean when you say ethically sourced?
Well, it's in the way that these oils are harvested and manufactured. Some of them are diluted with carrier oils and other, I don't know how else to say it, but other toxins to extract the, I guess you would call, they call it like the hydrosol, which is the essence of the herbs. And some of them are more ethical in the way that they distill those kinds of oils from the same herbs. So I'm careful about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes good sense.
If that makes sense.
So another question that I have to ask you, you've kind of already answered, because I wanted to know about how involved you are in the production of these wonderful products, and I can see it's
Very.
100%, right?
Very, because I grow my own herbs on my property. So I'm able to, it's free of pesticides, herbicides, things like that. I'm always looking for the all-natural way to keep the pests away from them. And I harvest them, fairly regularly. So yeah, I can say with 100% certainty that I am harvesting, at least the herb portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your distribution like? Where can one find your products?
Well, for now, we are online. So it's on my website, which is www.poetryandbloomapothecary.com. In future, we are going to be in farmers markets. One is called the Capital Market. They have two locations in Maryland. Primarily is for women entrepreneurs. And then we're also going to be at Femme Fatale DC, which is in Cleveland Park in DC. So yeah, so great things on the horizon, new beginnings. So this is where our distribution chain is moving toward as well. But we'll still keep the online presence because, of course, there are people who want to order online, yeah, instead of visiting a store.
Well, based on what you told me, there are many layers of getting this product to market.
Yeah.
Starting with you growing your product, you making the product,
the concentrate,
you distributing it or getting it out to those people who are ordering online. How do you get this all done? Do you have help?
Well, I have a great family. And I have really great mentors. It's just amazing that these mentors are also nieces. Both of my two mentors, they're both nieces who are doing really well, really wonderful entrepreneurs out here. One is in North Carolina and another one is right here in the area. So I'm sandwiched between these two, and they are really like been helping me move and do in the right direction that we want to go into.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you want to give them a shout out?
I do. So there's Danita Brooks, and she's the owner of Zen in a Jar. And then there's Chinsia Rogers, who's in North Carolina. Danita is in the DC area. She has a huge following. Wonderful skincare products, Danita, with Zen in a Jar. And then my niece in Charlotte, North Carolina, she has a company called Hemp and Everything. So she sells CBD products.
Okay.
In fact, she and I are collaborating with one of our sea moss gel products to have CBD for those people who also want to have the benefits of the sea moss gel, as well as the CBD for those people who have, suffer from chronic pain conditions. So yeah, we have one that's really great. It's pineapple flavored. It's lovely.
Okay, we're looking forward to that one.
Yes.
So where do you see your company in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh boy, there are lots of really great high-end family stores that I see that are online, have a huge online presence. Williams-Sonoma, if you're listening, I would love to be there in 3 to 5 years. And also opening a standalone apothecary. I have, an idea in my mind of an old-fashioned apothecary. They have their unique type of look to them, and I could see that happening.
A country store kind of vibe?
Well, yeah, it has more like, if you're thinking more like Harry Potter and the storefronts that have the big window and they're wooden framed, and so it would have to be, it couldn't be connected to a mall first.
That's country.
Yes.
You're from the city, aren't you?
I'm from the city.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a country store.
Gotcha. Then yes. Who knew they had ties to what England does? Okay. But yeah, I just love the aesthetic of that. And to offer something because the apothecary, the true definition is really like what you would consider a modern day pharmacist. But I would consider myself a modern day pharmacist with plants, using plants.
Okay.
Plant-based. So we have a little twist on that.
Now, my grandparents in Mississippi used plants for everything.
I love it.
For healing. I mean, some of the things that they used down there were mind-boggling to me.
And they worked. Yeah.
They did. They knocked it out.
Yeah.
They can get rid of a cold in like almost 10 minutes, it seems.
Oh, absolutely. It's just that we have, we're in a society where, is the pharmaceutical companies would rather give you something, when you can go out and find those very things in the ground yourself.
So there are people watching who would love to get some advice about starting their own company. So what do you say to those people who are out there probably tired of their government jobs or their corporate bosses or board of directors or whatever?
All of that.
Yeah.
I would say that you can, to always bank on yourself. The thing that stands out for me the most when I stepped away from, and I was being paid very well at the last job that I stepped away from. And most people, were looking at me questioningly. But here's the thing. Just because you're really good at something and you're successful and you're moving up the corporate ladder in a field that you find yourself in, if you're not fulfilled, then it's wasted time. So even if you have to start something part-time or some of the time, it's better to still think about the things that excite you, whether it's cooking, writing books. I've won an award for my book, my first book, and that was just like one of the things that people said, oh my God, you're going to do what? Write a book? Because most people want you to take the safe route. And yeah, you can be safe, and there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5 job if you're happy in it. But if you want to start something else, you just should.
Well, Susan, our time is running out. It did go quickly,
It
didn't it?
did, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for watching. And if you have any questions about how to contact our guest, please see the information scrolling below. Thank you for watching Rock Your Block and today's segment of Homes Radio. We'll see you next time.